Hey everybody, welcome back to Battle Ready Inc. So today's deck profile is over Titamon, which is arguably the best way to play purple in BT6. And honestly, after seeing this deck in action, I am honestly a little bit terrified of it. It has incredible stall power, and we have some spice at the end that plays very well in a purple deck that can stall. You probably know where I'm going on this. If you've seen the feature match already this week, you definitely know where I'm going on this. Absolutely absurd. So let's get into this. Also, this is the last weekend to order this memory marker. If you want one of these awesome eggs of courage, check the Patreon link in the description below. This is handmade out of clay by my wife, hand painted, everything hand sculpted. Super awesome. If you're excited for some armored Digimon coming in BT8, you definitely want to get your hands on one of these things because they are sweet. Now, if you want any of our previous memory markers we've had on the channel, check the coffee link in the description below. There you can get access to all of our previous memory markers that we've had that have been updated a little bit, as well as if you want to go through Patreon, you should know that the current memory marker is you get it a whole month early before it ever even goes live for sale on Coffee. So that is definitely a good benefit, as well as sometimes you can get them cheaper depending on the memory markers, because some get way more complicated and so therefore they get a little bit more expensive. And for Patreon, the shipping is all included in everything. So definitely check that out if you want one of them as early as possible. Alright, so kicking things off here, we're going to look at our babies first, and if you notice, look at this, Demi-Meramon has been dethroned. Finally Demi-Meramon has been knocked out of the #1 egg slot. Been there since BT3, that's 1.5 for all of us English players. Since almost the beginning of this game has been our go-to egg, just format after format. But now we got Sunomon here in BT6, and this thing, oh my god, do we trigger this thing almost non-stop, just in absolutely insane. Your turn once per turn when you trash a card in your hand using one of your effects, trigger, draw one. And immediately going into this, let's look at this Gabumon here. When attacking, draw one, then trash one. This is out of the starter deck. We finally switched over to the starter deck Gabumon instead of the on deletion. Purple is going to be a lot more aggro orientated in this kind of build, and a lot of builds are going towards this more aggro, like I'd rather just swing with my stuff to trigger things, or using stuff like Lady Devimon, and there's just tons of things. Titamon himself, he discards things. So we have tons of these effects that discard without our stuff having to die now. So we don't have to lose that value. So you spent turn after turn digivolving up into something just for it to immediately die. So that way you can trigger like a Gabumon and a Demi-Meramon. It's like, okay, cool. I've got a whole lot of, new hand resources, but at the cost of I had to lose, that thing that I spent several turns digivolving into. So now we don't have to worry about losing any of that value while still gaining a tremendous amount of hand advantage. So you can actually argue even cutting the Demi-Mera entirely. I know that whenever I was playing this, I was running a 4-1 split initially, and honestly, every time the Demi-Meramon came up, I hated it. Now, we do get kind of grindy in this deck, so it kind of does make sense that we want 5 eggs, but honestly, I just wanted the Sunomon. I think it'd almost be better just to have the 4 Sunomon and call it good there. So great baby for sure. And then speaking of triggering him, we also have the Labramon here, which is on play, draw one, then trash one in your hand. If you saw the feature match, you know what I was talking about. This Labramon combo is insane. It is so good. So say you go second, your opponent puts you to 3 memory, slam down a Labramon to draw one, discard one, discard a Skull Greymon. Skull Greymon gets put underneath the Labramon, giving the Labramon retaliation, and then pass turn by digivolving into a blocker. So preferably Vilemon, digivolve into the Vilemon, and now you have a blocker with retaliation. Like, how amazing is that? Like, literally, I don't even think you really can fathom how amazing it is to have your blocker have retaliation. A 6,000 DP blocker too, so it takes something pretty big to get over it in the first place. So loving that combo, and it's so cheap too. It's very memory efficient overall, I think. Next up, we have Gazimon here at a 3 of. Memory blockers are like the bane of most decks' existence this format, I would say. Looking at like Blue has 3 different memory gain options coming their way this format. Absolutely want to turn that off. You have got to turn off that memory gain. It is very important to shut that off. As well as just other decks. Looking at the Titamon here, Plutomon, they're going to have stuff like Genkakumon or the new Wizardmon gaining them memory back. There are 4 Evo costs. They need to be able to reduce that down to a 3, and they do that by gaining a memory back. Looking at Dynasmon is doing the same thing. Mastamon doing the same thing. They're trashing security and triggering their Wizardmon to give them 1 memory back. Having a memory blocker this format is a pretty big deal. Even Jessmon, if you want to argue the Jessmon that it doesn't really need it as much, anytime it wants to red memory boost to give itself more plays, so if it wants to evolve into the Jessmon, that puts them to 0, then trash the memory boost, go up to 2, then they can play their option cards like a Delicate Plan to turn off all the options, things like that. Stopping memory gaining is very important. Even turning off, things like the Sistermon that gains on 1 memory back, there's plenty of uses even against Jessmon. Like every deck this format, you're basically going to get a tremendous amount of value playing a memory blocker. So we went ahead and bumped that up to 3, just because that 2 just did not feel like enough. I think 3 is very much needed because you want that as soon as possible. Next, I went with Goblimon, and this is a kind of a flex spot, I would say. Nothing really felt like it fit perfectly. I wanted basically an inheritable rookie. We have Gabumon, which is our ideal target to go on top of our eggs with, but you can't just have 4 Digimon to digivolve on top of your eggs. So I went with a 3 Goblimon as our secondary preferred digivolve target. The Gazimon is like a good on play because you just want him sitting off to the side. Labramon, of course, is going to be just an on play that you prefer. So Goblimon is our secondary Evo target. I did look at Tsukaimon as well, just that on deletion gain 1 memory. It makes them less likely to want to swing over some stuff or delete certain things if it's going to force the turn to be passed. A little bit of extra help, I guess, is a good way to look at it, as well as you can crash certain things and then get value there and give yourself more memory to work with on your own turn. But the Goblimon felt really good for Tida, because this one is when you trash a card in your hand using one of your effects, this Digimon gets plus 2,000 DP for the turn. With the Tida itself going into that, you're going to trash one for his effect, instantly going to give your Titamon plus 2k, which makes him super, super beastly. And we'll get to some neat kind of like combinations that you can do there. But yeah, plus 2k, just because he's going to like swinging in and checking a lot of security, so a little bit extra DP could definitely not hurt. Next, we got the 4 of Valmont. I've already discussed why this is so great. 6,000 DP. I've absolutely all of my decks have gone back to the 2-cost Evo blockers for that 6,000 DP, specifically because I think Jessmon is going to be the most played deck in the entire format. I know a lot of people really want to play the Bonds Gabumon. I know I want to play the Bonds Gabumon, but I still think Jessmon will probably be the more like looked at deck overall to go with. So having things to basically keep yourself alive when that Jessmon swings in, deleting all those 5k blockers, everyone that's still trying to squeeze those into their decks are going to just see the total value lost in playing them. So 6,000 DP for sure, and again, just the sick combos that you can do with the Retaliation and the Labramon and stuff is really cool with this guy. And then next we got Genkakumon, which really kind of helps bring this whole deck together. Titamon, Tacti and Tida, man, that's difficult. Titamon is a 4-cost Evo. So this guy, when you trash a card in your hand using one of your effects, gain 1 memory. So that's basically turns that 4-cost into a 3-cost, and with a memory fixer, you're going to keep it on your own turn. So absolutely fundamental. This is your ideal target to go into the raising area. So you're going to have your rookie there, and then you're going to go into the Genkakumon on top of whatever is in your raising area, more than likely. Then we've got the Genkakumon Promotes, and this thing is really, really nice. It's basically we're just playing it because it's a level 4 with Rush. ideally, when you're bringing stuff out of the trash, like with Titamon's ability, he gets to bring back a level 4. You're going to want to bring back the promote. He has another on-play effect here, but it's really kind of irrelevant. You have to play Genkakumon and Kinkakumon, and I would say Kinkakumon's kind of a bit of a brick. You could maybe cut down one of the promotes to 2, and then add in 2 Kinkakumons if you want to kind of get it to do that. But I think you're just having to run a brick for just a subpar effect. Draw 1, gain 1 memory is neat, but the idea is that you've already gone with your memory fixer to 3, and then your Genkakumon is going to put you back to 0. So gaining 1 more memory to put yourself at 1 feels a little unnecessary. So I just want the rush. I just want the level 4 with rush, and we're going to get some wild combos. Not just the Titamon, but some other stuff at the end that you can do with this. If you saw the feature match, you know the power of why having so many in your deck is very important. So a 3 of for your good discard fodder. Even I've had some value in digivolving it on top of a level 4 for 1 evo cost. Gives me a draw, and then it makes my level 4 inheritables live. Like a Genkakumon, you can make this inheritable live without actually needing a level 5 on top of it. Wizardmon in my Plutomon build, digivolving the Genkakumon on top of a Wizardmon for 1 evo. There was some really actually kind of good value going on there. So pretty cool card for sure. Next is our level 5 package, and this is super difficult. I'll be straight honest with you. It is hard to figure out what the correct answer is on this. After playing these decks a whole lot, all 3 of these guys feel just absolutely important. Oddly enough, Black War Groundmon may be kind of on the lower end of what might be the most important. The Lady Devimon, though, the draw 2, trash 2. You're going to be triggering stuff like your Sunomon baby to give even more draws, which is almost like a draw 4 at that point. You got the Evo cost for the Lady Devi, the draw 2, then the draw 1 off the Sunomon after the discards. Crazy draw with going on with this. Also, the inheritable here of when you play an option card, you get a pop a level 3. A kind of a neat way to clear some memory blockers. This deck hates memory blockers so much, so being able to pop those memory blockers with her effect is actually pretty good. Again, if you saw the feature match, you saw where that value came in of being able to pop that, and then the deck just absolutely went off. Then we have the Black War Groundmon. The Digiburst here isn't all that necessary. There are certain combos where you may need to do this. One of the ones that we saw was if you Digiburst here away, you can bring back a rookie and then play something like a Deathclaw to pop the rookie, and then that's going to turn off your opponent's memory blockers, and so then you can do like your like certain evos on top of this guy. And start getting memory back, which is really great. But that's just a very niche situation where something like this might actually come up. Even bring back a rookie and then digivolve a promote on top of that rookie that you just brought back with the War Groundmon, giving it rush. And so then that's an extra hit that your opponent might not have considered to win you the game. There are combos out there for it, but really we're just here for this. You may delete one of your other Digimon to unsuspend this Digimon. It allows Titamon to get multiple swings in there, so we're getting multiple security checks. He's got a security attack +1 ability there, so getting 4 security checks is pretty important in this deck. He is our main aggro piece. And then when you got the Skull Greymon, and this thing is just absolutely insane. Again, feature match, seeing this thing in action. All of your discards, he is probably going to be your most ideal target every single time, is to discard Skull Greymon, because you get to put him underneath anything. We talked about the awesome play with the Labramon that you can do, doing it to your Lady Devimon, putting it under your Lady Devimon. Your opponent's not going to want to clear or run over your Lady Devimon, or underneath anything. We had one in our match. The promote survived the security check, and so to pass turn, went with a Lady Devimon, put a Skull Greymon underneath that suspended promote, and the opponent didn't want to swing over the promote because 6,000 DP, it's going to take a decent bit to swing at that and clear it. Didn't want to clear it because it had retaliation, so didn't want to lose any of its megas. So really nasty stuff. You can do this. I initially didn't see the value in it. I don't think anyone really necessarily saw the value in it until you play it, and then you play it and you're like, I want 4. I want 4 copies of my Skull Greymon because I want to do this as much as possible. It is insane. Just great removal. Putting it underneath a rookie and have that rookie swing into something random and kill it. Or just fend your opponent off. Like, okay, it's sitting underneath that rookie. I don't want to swing with my Mega and leave my Mega suspended so that puny little rookie can come in and just completely wipe my Mega next turn. So, yeah, just the retaliation is great. But it's really hard to find the balance. Like, we went with a pure balance of 3/3/3 for 9 level 5s. But, yeah, I mean, you can maybe take a War Groundmon down to 2 and bump the Skull Greymon up to 4. The Lady Devimon also really important. That inheritable popping those memory blockers is pretty important. The draw discards is so good for like literally doing the Skull Greymon plays. This balance is difficult. I will say that it is difficult. You want all of them. You want all of them. All right, next we're going to get into the core of the deck here, and that is Titamon himself. And that's what we're here for. 12,000 DP. Very nice. You put that Goblin underneath him, you're swinging with 14k. You're basically clearing everything. You're going against a bonds deck. You're clearing over all the bonds. Okay, so you don't have to worry about those security checks. You'll be fine. There's nothing in their security that you have to worry about with Titamon. Even a Jesmon deck, you're clearing over most everything. The only thing you might have to worry about would normally be a Rush Omnimon. However, he's going to give himself another 2,000 DP, so he's going to be actually at 16,000 DP. So literally you have nothing to worry about. Even in a mirror match, if they have a Zwart in there, you don't have to worry about the Zwart because you're clearing it. He is a beast of a card. So when Digivolving, you're going to trash a card in your hand, which also triggers your Sunomon, so you draw off the Sunomon, and then you can play a level 4 or lower Digimon from your trash without paying its memory cost. Again, so if you have nothing in your trash, you trash or discard a level 4 off of his effect, you can bring back that very same level 4 that you just discarded. That is really great. Just always getting the exact cards you need. Very, very powerful. Most of the time you're going to bring back the Promote, but sometimes you might bring back a blocker or a Genkakumon to Digivolve on top of to get more of that gain memory effect. But then when you do that, when you're going to trigger that Genkakumon to give you that 1 memory back, Genkakumon should be underneath this Titamon to do this whole combo. 4, put your opponent to 1, gain the 1 memory back so you're back to 0. Then swing in because once per turn when you trash a card in your hand using your effect, this Digimon gets plus 2,000 DP and security attack plus 1. So just Digivolving into him triggers your own abilities. Now, say it's a follow-up turn, right? You're like, okay, well, what do I do on any other turn where I didn't Digivolve into him? Well, that's what the Gabumon is for, is every time you attack, you draw 1, trash 1, okay? So the Gabumon is also very, very ideal for follow-up turns of swinging with the Titamon. Even if you just go Titamon in raising area, and then following turn promote out the Titamon and swing with him, you can still trigger that with the Gabumon. So kind of a lot of important cards in this deck that you really want to maximize out on. So 4 copies of this guy. He's a monster. He really is. Like this does nothing to show how incredible he is. Next we went with a Zwart here as our level 7. You could maybe go with a Defeat depending on what your secondary mega is. You could maybe go Defeat for popping those pesky tamers on your opponent's side of the field. Popping memory fixers this format is going to be pretty good. Like a Jesmon deck, being able to pop that memory fixer is going to be very, very good. So they can't go Jesmon swing for game. Or Gabumon decks, Gabu Bonds decks, pop those mats. Gotta pop those mats, okay? So they can't do their whole crazy Bonds Evo thing. If they can't keep a mat on field, there's definitely some value there for running a Defeat instead of this one. But for our secondary mega, we wanted to go with the Zwart. Next is our option cards, and at first I was running the 2 memory boost just for a little bit more consistency, kind of dig for the cards we needed. Reveal 4, add any purple Digimon that you want. Always grabbing the cards you need for the situation. You're missing a level 4, level 5, you're missing a Titamon. Slam one of these guys down and grab it off the top 4 of your deck. Really great stuff. If it's not there, you just cleared 4 cards out of the way so you can hopefully draw into it soon. And then that delay gain 2 memory. If you don't have a memory fixer out on field and your opponent memory chokes you to 1, send this to the trash, and then you can do your whole Titamon play. The 4 Evo, bring it back to your turn with the Genkakumon. just being able to put yourself at 3 memory at the start of your turn is pretty important. So that's why I went with this one initially. Like, a lot of value there. A lot of value. I'm not going to exaggerate. A lot of value going on here. But Deathclaw also, I think there's huge argument for it. Memory blockers like really mess this deck up, like real bad. So delete one of your Digimon to delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower. You can clear a blocker with this. You can clear a memory blocker with this. Really, really great stuff here. Yeah, and then also the security effect is also nice to delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. So even if it hits in security, you're still going to get pretty good value out of it. So I think the argument is to run one or the other in this particular build. Now, there are other builds where you could run 2 of each. But why the deck is so tight and why we can't do that is because we're running the Lilith loot package. Yes, if you saw the feature match, you know how just absurd this is. And this is also why we're running Zwart. Zwart, we're going to play Zwart for free, and Zwart's going to bring back 2 copies of Promote. So now we've got just a full field of crazy amounts of swings. So say you went, Titamon swung in, cleared 2 security checks, then you Digivolve a Zwart for free on top of your Titamon, bring back 2 promotes. Now you're going to get 2 more swings out of your promotes. I mean, the value is insane. If you saw the feature match, it was just absolutely absurd. So to do that, we really need to run the Lilith loot package here. Lilithmon just works really great in this deck with the Jack Raids and things like that, just to gain just an absurd amount of memory. Digivolve in a herd, play some Jack Raids, go up to 4+ memory. I mean, really, you can do some crazy stuff. You can sometimes put yourself up to 6 memory. Like I said, this deck can stall pretty easily. Doing that combo with the Labramon, putting the Retaliation underneath, and then going Valmon on top, like that just shuts your whole opponent down. Like that shuts them down. They don't know what to do for turn after turn of just dealing with this blocker with Retaliation underneath it. So you can actually kind of fill up your trash halfway decent. Depending on your overall strategy. So we got the Mega Fusions in here at a 2 of, the Jack Raid at a 2 of, the Lilithmon at a 2 of, and then our Memory Fixer at a 2 of. Now, if you notice, we are playing the white Memory Fixer. Sure, unfortunately, we have no value in this at all, except for it's a Memory Fixer and it's white. We don't want to play the draw one and a mat, right? It doesn't feel right having to play 4 Tamers when you could just run 2 of her to get the job essentially done. Okay, you need a Memory Fixer, that's important, and you also need a white Tamer to do the whole Mega Digimon fusion to go completely ham on your opponent. This combo is nuts. Every game I've watched where people are running the Titamon Lilithmon combo they're always just unbelievably insane. Just the complete value that you get off all these cards is just truly nuts. I'm sure there's other Titamon builds out there. You could go maybe like a Tactimon. He's a good generic alternative. We kicked around the idea of running Plutomon, but just the ideas conflicted too much. While they are doing kind of the same thing of evoing for 4, gaining 1 memory back, you need different level 4s to pull that off, and then you also need to run a bunch of options, which is completely hindering Titamon and getting in Titamon's way, having all these options and stuff. So it didn't really work. But a Tactimon is a good alternative. If you did that, you could run the defeats instead. You could even still run the Zwarts as well, running 4 level 7s with the 2-3 Tactimon, running multiple copies of these guys here, and then you can cut out basically all these. You could run a purple mat instead to actually get some secondary value besides just being a Memory Fixer, and then just cut this down a little bit. So there is still other ways to play this deck. And there is a zoomed out version for the end for those that stuck around and they want to screenshot it for ideas, or those that skip to the end and they want to see the whole deck and this is what it looks like. The only thing is, for those that skip to the end and miss the explanation, basically you're going to pick one of these 2 cards and then go with 2 copies of that. If you want to see my reasoning for which one you should pick, go back and watch that segment of where I talk about these 2 cards and why you want to pick one over the other. And then that's going to do it. I think this deck is just absolutely phenomenal. It's got crazy good power. It can stall when you need to stall. It can go completely ham when you need to go completely ham. I'm loving it. Like, one of the best purple decks I think that we've seen so far. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you would, please like the video and subscribe. Just a little bit of help goes a super long ways. It helps the channel out tremendously, gets my videos out there, gets them seen. And if you really want to support the channel, check out the links in the description below. I'll have a link for my Patreon, which is displayed right here. You can get access to my Discord server that I have, as well as you can get the memory markers that we've had. These are just a few of my favorites from the past that we've had. The current one, Impmon's baby, as well as Gabumon's baby as well, Sunomon and Yaomon. These guys are super adorable. I definitely love them so much. And every month a new one changes out, so make sure you check that out. As well as we have our new playmats. This is why I recreated this video. It's because our playmats are here finally, and they are super cool. I alternate between the black and white every single month for whoever wants to support this tier, as well as I have a tier just higher than that, so that way you don't also have to lose out on a memory marker. You can get both the memory marker and the playmat just in case you want both. Super awesome support from everyone that has supported in the past and who will support in the future. You guys are awesome. Also, if you want to check out my merch, my Teespring link is in the description below for that. We've got, you know, the shirts that I wear on the channel that has the logo across. I love when I see people representing my merch in public. It is like one of the coolest feelings I've ever had in my entire life. Very awesome. As well as phone cases for you people that love Digimon like so much like I do. A friend of mine custom made all these to fit these specific phone cases themselves, so the prices are a little bit higher just because I have to pay her back, as well as make a little tiny bit of profit because of how much unfortunately they take for their cut for Teespring. But like I said, if you can't do any of that, please just like the video and subscribe to the channel. Every time we hit a new mile marker for subscriptions, I give out free merch of all different types. 2000K, I think we're doing one of the playmat giveaways, so definitely be subscribed and ready for when that comes.